Let's talk about software. Every machine needs instructions to work. These instructions that make computers work are what we call software. A group of instructions that perform a specific task is a program or app. I'm sure you know most of these programs and applications. Let's take a closer look at operating systems. Operating system is the most important software because it controls hardware and allows us to use the computer. Some operating systems are Microsoft Windows, Linux, Android for mobile devices, and iOS by Apple. Let's talk about information units. The smallest unit of data in a computer is a bit. All data in computers is coded with bits, ones and zeros.
Wait. All data with ones and zeros? But we all see all kinds of numbers and letters in a computer. And what about the images and videos? And what about the sound? How do you code that with ones and zeros? Well, the answer to that is quite complicated, but the key thing here is the binary code. Every number you can think of can be written using only zeros and ones. In the image, you can see decimal numbers and their equivalent in binary. But what do we do with letters? The answer is that we assign a number to every character, and that number is translated into binary. So, for instance, the capital letter A is a 65, which in binary is 01000001. Now, maybe you are wondering, why do computers do this? Well, the answer is that for computers, it's much easier to read and write ones and zeros than the decimal numbers that we usually use. For images, computers divide the image in a lot of little squares that we call pixels, and they assign a number to each one of them. For sound, computers measure the frequency and the loudness of the sound 44,000 times per second, and they assign a binary number to every sample. That is what my computer is doing right now as I record this.
Bits are grouped into octets that are called bytes. 1 byte is equal to 8 bits.
This means that 8 zeros or ones is what we call 1 byte. And this is very important because bytes is what we actually use to measure how big files are. Take a look at the table. These are very important units that you actually need to learn. Well, maybe not all of them, but for sure you need to learn byte, kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, and terabyte. Let's find out how big are the files in a computer. You can always right-click on them and choose properties, and it will tell you the size. This Word file is 12 kilobytes. That's not much. If I right-click on this PowerPoint presentation and I choose properties, it's like 2.88 megabytes. That's bigger, but still not too big. Images are usually, for instance, this one, well, 110 kilobytes. That's not much. It's less than 1 megabyte. If you check videos, it depends on how long and the quality of the video, of course, but a short video like this one, it's already 18.2 megabytes. If you talk about a whole movie, it can be 700 megabytes, 1000 megabytes, which would be 1 gigabyte, or even 10 gigabytes. You can also check on your hard drive, and the operating system will tell you what is the capacity of your hard drive. This one is 454 gigabytes, and I'm using 184 gigabytes, so 269 are free for me to use. So go ahead and check on your computer. Find out how big are your files. Vamos a revisar lo que hemos aprendido de software. Llamamos software al conjunto de instrucciones que nos permiten usar el ordenador, los programas y las apps. El sistema operativo es el software más importante, ya que controla el hardware y nos permite usar el ordenador. Estos son algunos de los sistemas operativos más populares. Vale, el sistema operativo es súper importante porque controla el hardware y nos permite utilizar el ordenador, pero ¿qué quiere decir eso? Bueno, pues imagina por un momento lo que ves cuando abres el capó de un coche, el motor y todos esos mecanismos. ¿Sabemos realmente para qué sirve cada cosa? Mm, bueno, pero no pasa nada porque afortunadamente todos los coches están construidos de forma que se conducen más o menos igual. Un volante, unos pedales, la llave de contacto. Pues lo mismo ocurre con el sistema operativo. La mayoría de la gente no sabe qué es todo lo que hay dentro de su ordenador, pero gracias al sistema operativo podemos conducir el ordenador. Podemos saber qué tenemos guardado en el disco duro, podemos hacer búsquedas, podemos configurarlo, podemos crear carpetas, borrar archivos, etc. Vamos ahora con la última sección de esta unidad, unidades de información. La unidad más pequeña de información es el bit. Todos los datos que maneja el ordenador están en bits, en unos y ceros. Un byte son 8 bits. Y aquí está la tabla con las medidas de la información que debemos conocer. Es importante tener una idea de cuánto pesa más o menos cada tipo de archivo. Hay que saber más o menos cuánto espacio en disco va a ocupar un archivo en Word, más o menos, o un vídeo o una imagen. Claro, depende de lo largo que sea el vídeo o de lo grande que sea el archivo en Word, pero siempre hay que tener una idea un poquito de cuánto va a ocupar eso en disco, ¿vale? Y aquí termina la unidad del ordenador. Hasta luego.